Hello everybody, my name is Craig Bennett and I'm the founder and owner of TechViewsNote. And today I am going to do another hacking guide. In this guide we are going to be talking about quite a few different types of malwares. This is going to be a theoretical video, not a practicality. And so basically it's a talking head. I'm going to have very minimalistic to no animations at all. And that's something that you just got to keep in mind. Now, this is probably going to be the end of this session of theoretical guides for the malware goes. I'll try to knock them all out in this one video. Before, in the past videos, we went through an overview of malware. Then we got into adware, spyware. Then we got into viruses, worms. Then we got into Trojans, backdoors, then rootkits. And this one we're getting into logic bombs, botnets, ransomware, and polymorphic malware, if we could fit it all in one video. So as far as things goes, again, this is going to be a theoretical video. This is not going to be the how to make this stuff. As far as everything else goes, let's jump into a quick advertisement so you know how to better support my channel. That way you can help it grow much faster than I can just on my own. Thanks for sticking around during this transition. Now, if you want to help me out at all, either by financial or other means, then feel free to click the Patreon button to go to my Patreon campaign, and that way you can donate there and check out what I plan to do with money. Or you can click the PayPal button and you can donate there. You can either donate on time there or do a monthly recurrence. And lastly, if you don't want to help out with money, either because you just don't have it or whatever it is, then feel free to share this video and share my other videos. And please check out the top button to go to my main channel. But anyways, hope that you like this video, and let's bring it back to the actual video. Welcome back. Now let's talk about polymorphic malware to make it easier on me. Now, as far as antivirus systems work, how do they work? Most of them, they look for signatures on viruses, and if it doesn't know the signature, then obviously you can't find it. But what some of them do, and keep in mind this is very resource intensive. I know some antivirus systems that you can get. I know Avast does a little bit of this. There's others that do a lot more, but they are very resource intensive when they do this. They look at the heuristics. I hope I pronounced that right. Sorry if I don't. But basically, what they're looking at is, instead of looking at the signatures, which they might be looking at the same time, they're looking at seeing if the system file has changed. So what will happen with a polymorphic malware is every time you download it, it will have a different name. So you download it, it'll have a different name than when I download it. That's very important for one. The second, and that's why it's nearly impossible, and in many cases completely impossible to find it by signatures, because the code around the attack code changes. The attack code obviously doesn't. In other words, it can't attack. So that's also very important to realize. And some of these are put into the encrypted files to keep the anti-malware from scanning it. But what happens is the antivirus systems, they will actually, when they start up, some of the polymorphic malware, it will actually change its name. It will change something around it. And that's one of the things that some antivirus systems are looking for, and you got to make sure that yours can do that. Basically, ask the maker if your antivirus system looks at the heuristics, if it has a heuristic detection system, and that will tell you right there if it does. Now let's talk about botnets. It's an interesting concept. Botnets are basically a piece of malware that sits on your computer and waits for a remote command. Sometimes when they go on your computer, they might do something and then wait. but for most part they wait for a remote command. They can also open up backdoors, so that's also a huge thing to keep in mind. Now, as far as botnets, real world example, there is a famous botnet that's still much of a problem, and it's been around for a while, called Zeus. So here's what happens, just giving you a rundown. So a malware coder makes the actual botnet. It's sent off to a hacker. The hacker infects a target system. The target will actually log in and actually go into their bank. And keep in mind, Zeus doesn't look for anything other than banking stuff. It does not care about Facebook. It does not care about Twitter. It does not care about anything other than your banking stuff. So it looks for your banking passwords, usernames, routing numbers, all the other happy stuff for the hacker. The hacker gets it. It retrieves the banking credentials. Has a remote access to a compromised computer. So the hacker logs into the victim's online banking accounts from there because it has the credentials. And then from there, the money is transferred to what's called money mules. This could be somewhere in Nigeria. This could be in America. This could be anywhere. But most of the time, this is something like Nigeria or Somalia or something like that, where there's not really laws there. And at least at this time in 2014. In the future, hopefully there will be a change on that. But as far as things goes, usually these money mules, there's several accounts, and it's very difficult to figure out who started them, if you can at all, and it's very difficult to figure out where the money's going. So the money goes into the money mule account, it's transferred between them, and then the hacker tells the organization that it's good to go. Organization that hired the hacker, if the hacker's not just working on this alone, the hacker or the organization goes in, gets the money, transfers it into the organization or the hacker's personal account, and from there the hacker goes in and deletes the logs for the money mules, and that way it's about impossible to figure out what happened. So yeah, that's pretty much about it as far as the Zeus botnet. Now, as far as the Zeus botnet, this is getting worse lately, but it's been around for a while, and something that you gotta really work and watch out for. And the one thing to keep in mind is, again, what happens with a botnet. Sometimes they open up back doors, so you have to look at your ports, make sure they're not just randomly opening. Some good antivirus systems will actually tell you if it is or isn't. And also, the one thing to keep in mind with the botnets is sometimes they send out signals to what's called a mother server. A mother server is the thing that sends information to the botnet to do something or to get something from it. And sometimes when the botnet doesn't hear from the mother server after a certain amount of time, it might delete itself, it might shut down the computer, it might do a bunch of things. Same thing as when it hears something, it might also do some other very nasty things. Now, as far as logic bombs, let's go into logic bombs real quick. Logic bombs are virtually impossible to find. They can be found, but in very rare cases. Logic bombs are, let's compare them to real-world bombs. So real-world bombs, you have bouncing Bettys, which is a landmine. You have motion detecting bombs. You got heat thermal bombs, so it detects heat. You got sound bombs where it detects sound of certain type of sound. It might be a particular sound, it might be a pitch of sound, or any sound. You have bombs with tripwires, so on and so on. I mean, you got a lot of them out there. Well, same thing here What a logic bomb does, instead of actually causing a explosion, what happens is it's a program that's made, and on a X event or several X events, it will trigger its program. So I've seen harmless logic bombs where someone put something on someone's computer that they know, a personal private computer, and on the person's birthday it'll pop up saying happy birthday, and that's a logic bomb. Then it just deletes itself or whatever, and it goes from there. So the person can get a birthday surprise, but it's a logic bomb. And it's a good logic bomb, but it's a logic bomb nonetheless. Something that you don't want on a computer, on a work computer, otherwise you're gonna get fired or worse. Now, bad logic bombs, they're normally left behind by people with a grudge against something. So usually some layoffs, some fires, or whatever. Two examples I can give for people who has grudge, layoffs and fires. Freddie Mac, there was a logic bomb put in their systems. It was going to cause a week-long shutdown, causing millions of dollars in damage, and it was going to affect 40,000 servers. This was back in 2009. It was found before it went off. Another one, the guy was going to do $3.1 million United States dollars in damage into systems, and he is serving 8 years in prison. And this was back in 2006, I believe, when it was first found. So a while back, and he got a little bit ways to go, I believe. I don't know. He might got out. He might extend this sentence. I don't know. But anyways, as far as that goes, and by the way, I'm not really sure if that's beginning. I think that's the end of 2006, so pretty much 2007 time frame. But as far as things goes, there's another type of logic bomb which I spoke about in one of my previous videos, where the Iran nuclear power plant, again, it was detecting a certain type of operating system, then a certain type of monitor, a brand, model name, and the software on it, and several other things. If all these things were met true, then the logic bomb will go off and do whatever it's programmed to do, which it did. So that's a more extreme example of a logic bomb. So last but not least, ransomware. This is becoming more and more a problem, especially with the older crowd. Ransomware, back in the day, this used to be more of a what's called a scareware. What basically the thing will say, your computer is locked down or whatever. And it really wasn't. It just looked like it was. And in fact, people over time started using these as pranks. But basically, it'll say, give us X amount of money and this will fix itself. It'll look like something from a cop. It will look like something from an actual hacker. It'll look like something. And sometimes it was really locked down, but most of the time it wasn't. And I remember back in the day, in early Windows time frames, you'll actually see some of these. But for the most part, nowadays it's more of a serious threat. What happens nowadays is you'll download something like Speed My Computer Up or something around that point, and what will happen is the thing will actually, it'll lock your computer down, or it could lock your computer down. It could install viruses. It could mess with your system configurations. It could do a lot of bad things. And what will happen, it'll say, oh, you got all these problems, you got all these errors, let me fix it up if you pay a little bit of money. If you don't pay, the problems could stay there, they can worsen, or the computer could basically not recognize it as a computer anymore. And then let's say that you do pay, who knows if they're going to fix it. So that's a huge problem, and who knows if it's going to come back again. So that's also another huge problem in trying to find this stuff. Now, what happens most of the time is, and this happens today, is you'll get something that says you got a bunch of viruses, you got a bunch of files on here that are infected, and a lot of files are not even on your computer. So that's an example of scareware. But it's hard to say. If you deny and try to even uninstall some of the stuff, it could trigger some negative thing. But I would still recommend uninstalling it. Keep in mind this is an educational video, so you have to use your best judgment at all given times. But I'll recommend uninstalling it, or at worst, calling someone that you actually know that knows about computers and disconnecting it immediately from the internet, and that way it will do its thing. Now, what will happen sometimes with this ransomware is if the thing cannot see the internet, it might not even trigger. It might actually uninstall itself. The same thing with botnets. Sometimes that will happen too, is if it doesn't even see the mother server, then it will just delete itself. Sometimes it will just do something else. So it's very important to realize that ransomware, even though you might have not seen it personally, you might have downloaded it at some point, but the thing might not even seen the mother server, so the thing probably deleted itself, or it's hidden or something like that, or you're lucky and just didn't download anything like that. But anyways, for ransomware to work, the one thing you gotta keep in mind is it has to be triggered. And by the way, some of the worst ransomware that you'll see is an encryption. It will actually encrypt your entire hard drive, and then if you don't pay a certain amount, then your entire hard drive will stay encrypted. This is a huge problem. Sometimes it will even, if you didn't pay within 12 hours, then it will delete everything. So that is a huge problem. And the only way to get your stuff back is by going to a restore point, which is why it's important to have restore points on your computer. This is included in OS X devices and Linuxes, is to have some type of restore point within it. But anyways, this has been Craig Bennett, founder and owner of TechViews and Help. And real quick before I forget, one thing that IT security people do when they run into something like this, especially with logic bombs, because they really want to know what it's supposed to do, is they can go and put it into some secure test thing, and they can run it and see what happens. If something bad happens, they know what would happen. But anyways, it's been Craig Bennett, founder and owner of TechViews and Help, and I hope that this video has helped you out. And if it has, then please leave a like, please subscribe, and please share. If you do have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comment section. If you got any tips, feel free to leave that in the comment section also. If you didn't like this video for whatever reason, then please leave a dislike, but also please tell me below why you're leaving a dislike, so I can fix future videos. But other than that, please leave a like, please subscribe, and please share. Also, please visit techreviewsnup.com and the Patreon campaign. And again, this has been Craig Bennett, founder and owner of TechViews and Help. I hope you have a great day.